Do you remember that 80s Dunkin' Donuts commercial where the alarm clock goes off at 3:30?
Time to make the donut.
Well, for the last 30 years, when my alarm clock goes off, do you remember that 80s Dunkin' Donuts commercial where the alarm clock goes off?
Only at electricebikes.com. Electric e-bikes, affordably awesome.
Do you remember that 80s Dunkin' Donuts commercial where the alarm clock goes off at 3:30?
Time to make the donut.
Well, for the last 30 years, when my alarm clock goes off at 3:30, if it wakes up my wife, Kathy, she always says, it's time to make the donuts. And I say, you're right, it's time to make the donuts. And I get up and I go to work. You know how many mornings my alarm has gone off at 3:30? Well, according to AI, 6,828 times. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a lot of donuts. It is a great job, but the hours suck. Ainsley and I have talked about this for years, about how hard it is to dash back from wherever we are on the weekends to be live on this couch at 6 a.m. on Monday. But we have to, because the Curvy Couch is an important part of the show, which brings me to this public service announcement. After decades of getting up at 3:30 and driving into New York City in the dark, today is the last day I will host this show from the couch. I'm not retiring. I'm not leaving the show. I'm still a host, but it's time for a change. Suzanne Scott, the CEO of Fox News Media and a friend of mine for over 30 years, and I have been trying to figure out what a guy who's been getting up at 3:30 for 2 generations should do next. And Suzanne gave me a great option to keep working on this show, just not every day. So from now on, I am working 3 days a week. Essentially, it's the Johnny Carson show deal. Remember, Johnny worked his 3 days in Burbank, and I will be based in Florida, which means you may never see me in a necktie again. Well, Florida is strategic because it's going to make it easier for me to report from Florida and other parts of America that don't get a lot of network airtime. I'll be going from the Carolinas to the Keys, from Middle America to Mar-a-Lago. So call me the coast-to-coast host. So when my kids were growing up, I never had breakfast with them. I was always here. Kathy did everything. But starting tomorrow, I'm going to have breakfast with my grandkids and my children whenever I can. I'm transitioning from it's time to make the donuts to it's time to make the breakfast, Grandpa. Now step on it. By the way, lots of great breakfast ideas in our #1 best-selling Happy Breakfast series, still available everywhere. Tomorrow, Kathy and I are going to go to D.C. to meet our 2-week-old grandson, George. My son, Peter, and his wife, Hillary, and their 2-year-old Bridget will get the first batch of coast-to-coast host French toast. And then we're off to Dallas, where Sally and her husband, Allie, just moved into a brand new house with their 2-year-old son, Arthur. They needed more space because Sally's having a boy in July. And LJ tells me Dallas is really beautiful in the month of July. And my daughter/lawyer, Mary, and her husband, Marshall, always need help with their dog, Peanut. So Gaga and Grandpa are hitting the road to spoil all of our kids and our grandkids. Not with stuff, per se, but just by being there. So they're already stocking up the fridge with formula and Chardonnay, which they call Grandpa's medicine. I will continue to join the couch crew for commentary. You've trusted me for all these years, and don't worry, you will still hear my voice and my opinions loud and clear, despite whatever seasonal pollen is killing me. And today, I looked up, it's tree pollen. There is one downside. I have a lot of friends in this skyscraper. I'm going to miss seeing them in person. The security guys, the cafe crew, especially the hair and makeup team, because they are geniuses at what they do. Exhibit A, ladies and gentlemen. And the closest to my heart, the Fox and Friends team, working day and night, producing America's #1 cable morning news show. And our leader, all-star producer Megan Albano, who's standing right there, gets a special shout out because she is going to help me make my news schedule work. And for that, I am eternally grateful. The studio and control room crews have lots of folks I've worked alongside for decades. That's why it makes it hard. Just know you will still hear from me every day when I play Wordle with you, as soon as Chris Chulo picks the word and then Ted says he solved it in 2. Ted is a liar. I'm just calling you out.
Right, wherever he is.
And as for the cast on the couch, who I love and adore, if this was the last day I'd ever work with you again, the waterworks would be flowing. You know me. But after a little vacation, I'm going to be back on the show via the magic of television, where somewhere, I guarantee you, somebody will ask me, is Ainsley really that sweet?
Aww.
And I'll say she is. And
Thank you.
Is Lawrence really that much fun? And I'll say he is indeed. Janice Dean, always so sunny, right? She is. And does Carly really know what crazy transitions you guys will throw at her? She doesn't. But she always has a snappy comeback. And more importantly, I hear this all the time. Does Brian Kilmeade really think we need somebody to get dressed?
Yes.
Let me ask you, when you go out in the morning, are people on the street wearing clothes? Yes, they are listening to Brian.
Thank
and
you.
Brian,
Thank
that
you.
is your legacy.
Thank you. That's all I need.
A lady at the airport said to me on Monday, she said, Steve, I didn't see you on the couch this morning. And I told her that from now on, I was working 3 days a week. And she said, that's great. You've been there a long time. And she's right, because once again, according to AI, I have hosted 31,607 hours of live TV on Fox News.
You got your 10,000 in.
That's right. And you know what? I'm not done yet. I will be back in 10 days when it's time to make the donuts.